Hi love, welcome back. In today's class you're making this beautiful bikini bra. If you're new to the channel, my name is Miss Ai and you're welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much for coming back. We've already made the bottom for this, so let's get right into making of the top. Let's get right into the video. To begin with, you are going to either make a magic ring, or if you don't know how to make a magic ring, make a slip knot and you are going to chain 4. You are going to slip stitch inside the very first stitch and close it off. There you go. So you have your magic ring here. Now to begin row 1, you are going to chain 5, and the chain 5 counts as a double crochet and chain 2. So you're going to make a double crochet in the magic ring, or that very small space. There you go. You're going to chain 2, make a double crochet in the same stitch, like that very tiny space or inside the ring. Chain 2, make a double crochet inside that very space again. So you now have 4 double crochets beginning from the chain space. Now you are going to chain 2 and you are going to slip stitch inside the 3rd stitch of your beginning 5 chains. So you are going to slip stitch inside the 3rd stitch to close off. There you go. So that's the end of row 1. Should be having something like this. Now row 2, we are going to chain 1, and inside the chain 2 space, the very first chain 2 space, we are going to place 6 single crochets. 3, 4, 5 and 6. Inside the next chain 2 space, you are going to place 6 single crochets. You are going to go ahead and place 6 single crochets inside each chain 2 space until the end. At the end of the row, after you've made, now you are going to make 6. After that, you are going to slip stitch inside the very first chain 1 space to close off row 2. Now row 3, you are going to chain 2, and inside the same stitch you are going to place a double crochet. Chain 2 count as your first double crochet. So this is your first corner. You are going to chain 2, skip a stitch, and inside the next stitch you are going to place a double crochet. Chain 2, skip a stitch, and inside the next stitch you place a double crochet. Chain 2 again, skip a stitch, and inside the next stitch you will make a double crochet. So we have 1, 2, 3. Now you are going to chain 2 and skip a stitch, and inside the next stitch you are going to place 2 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Make sure the chain 2, when you are counting, you should have 4 chain 2 space. Now you are going to place 2 double crochets, chain 2 and 2 double crochets. So that is your second corner. So the first corner we only did half, so when we are completing we would add the extra 2 double crochets. Now you are going to chain 2, skip a stitch, make a double crochet, just as you did for this part. So you should have 4. Chain 2, skip a stitch, make a double crochet, chain 2, skip a stitch, make a double crochet, chain 2, skip a stitch, and now you are going to make 2 double crochets in the same stitch. So 1 and 2. So this is your third corner. Chain 2 and place your 2 double crochets inside the same stitch, and you are going to repeat this until the end. Now at the end you only have a stitch you are going to skip, and inside the space where you started with your chain 2, you are going to place 2 double crochets. Now you are going to chain 2 and slip stitch on top of the chain 2 space to close it off. So this is row 3. We are going to be repeating row 3 until we have our desired bra cup, but I'm going to walk you through all the rows. So now we have 3 corners. Now row 4, you are going to turn your work and slip stitch to the middle, the chain 2 space, so slip stitch to get to the middle, and you are going to chain 2 and place a double crochet. So this is the first part of the corner. Now we are going to chain 2, and inside the very next chain 2 space you are going to place a double crochet. Chain 2 and place a double crochet in the next chain 2 space, and you are going to keep repeating this until you get to the second corner. And remember, anytime we start with the first corner, we make 2 double crochet. When we are ending the corner, then we chain 2 and add the 2 double crochets to complete the corner. So I'm at the second corner, and inside the chain 2 space you are going to make 2 double crochets, chain 2 and 2 double crochets. You are going to follow through until the end. So at the end of the row I've made my 2 double crochet, 2 chains, and you are going to place 2 double crochets in the same stitch. You are going to chain 2 and slip stitch on top of the chain 2 space. So that's the end of your row 4. Now row 5, you are going to turn your work and slip stitch to the middle, and now we are going to start with our half corner. And to make the half corner you are going to chain 2, and inside the same stitch you are going to place a double crochet. You are going to chain 2, and inside the next chain 2 space you are going to make a double crochet. Chain 2, make a double crochet in the next chain 2 space, chain 2, make a double crochet in the next chain 2 space, and you are going to repeat this until you get to the second corner. And when you get to the second corner, you are going to make 2 double crochets in the same stitch, chain 2 and 2 double crochets. You are going to follow this through until the end of the row, and we shall complete our corner. To complete our corner, you are going to make 2 double crochets in the chain 2 space to complete it, chain 2 and slip stitch on top of your chain 2. So this is what you should be having. Now row 6, you are going to turn, and we are going to make chain 2, and inside the same stitch you are going to make your double crochet again. You are going to chain 2 and go with the same pattern until the end of the row. So this is my row 6, and this is what the work should be looking like. If you want to make for a bra size cup large, keep adding up the rows until your desired length, but I'm making for a small to medium, so I'm going to end here. So now to make your final row, you are going to turn and slip stitch, and with this row is going to be a half double crochet row. So chain 2 and make a half double crochet in the same stitch. You are going to skip the chain 2 double crochets, and inside the chain 2 space you are going to make 3 half double crochets. In the next chain 2 space you are going to make 3 half double crochets, and keep making 3 half double crochets in the chain 2 spaces until you get to the second corner. So I'm at the second corner, and you are going to make 2 half double crochets in the chain 2 space. inside the corner space, you are going to chain 2 and make a double crochet in the same stitch. You are going to chain 2, and inside the next chain 2 space, you are going to make a double crochet. Chain 2, make a double crochet in the next chain 2 space until you are at the 3rd corner. So you are going to be repeating double crochet, chain 2 and double crochet until you are at the 3rd corner, and I'll meet you at the 3rd corner. So at the 3rd corner, inside the chain 2 space, you are going to make a double crochet. There you go. You are going to chain 2, and inside the same stitch, you are going to make 2 half double crochets, just as we did for the other side. And we are going to make 3 half double crochets in the next chain 2 space, and we are going to keep making 3 half double crochets in each chain 2 space until the end. So at the end, inside the corner, you are going to complete with 2 half double crochet, a chain 2, and you are going to slip stitch on top of the chain 2 space. There you go. So now this is the end of our skeleton. So now we are going to be making we are going to be building our work, and you are going to chain 2. I don't want to cut my yarn, so I'm going to chain 2 and bring it forward to the next row and make a slip stitch. So now you are going to make sure you pull your yarn to the middle, exactly inside the middle stitch, where 2 double crochet, chain 2 and 2 double crochet. So inside that very middle, in between the 2 double crochets, so you are going to drag your yarn to that spot, and you are going to chain 3. So what you can do is, if you cannot drag your yarn forward, you can cut and fasten it in that middle. So chain 3, and inside that middle space, you are going to place 4 more double crochets. So plus your chain 3, so that would be 5. Inside the very same stitch, you are going to make a slip stitch. So there you go. So this hole can be that space, can be very tiny. So you are going to shift your work again, and inside that same spot, you are going to place 5 more double crochets. 5 double crochets, and you are going to make a slip stitch. There you go. So you've completed your first corner by making double. Now we are going to be going inside our chain 2 spaces, and we are going to be making 6 double crochet and a slip stitch inside each chain 2 space. So 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Now we are going to slip stitch inside the same stitch. So what I do is that I try to pull the double crochet and slip stitch just after the double crochet. Now you are going to make again 6 double crochets in the next chain 2 space and slip stitch in the same spot. This is basically what you are going to be doing for row 1. So you are going to go around that same line, just go around. When you get to the corner, make sure you make 2 times, like 5 double crochet, slip stitch, and 5 double crochet and slip stitch. The rest you are going to only make 6 double crochets and slip stitch. So at the end of the row, you are going to slip stitch, and you are going to again bring your work forward by chaining 2 and dragging it to the middle, or the next lane, the next row. Exactly. But if this would be a problem, just cut and join your yarn again to the next, and you are going to chain 3 and place 4 more double crochets in the same stitch, making it 5. So we are going row by row, we are going round until we complete our work. So after your 5 double crochets, you are going to make sure you pull to get enough space and slip stitch. So the corner space is a bit tedious because you have like a very small space to work all 12 double crochets there. 12 double crochet slip 6 double crochet slip stitch and 6 slip stitch. So the row there can be very small, but just try and put everything there so your work would be very nice. And slip stitch. Now we are going to chain 2 rows, and that's pretty much easy to work. So we are going to make 6 double crochet slip stitch, 6 double crochet slip stitch all around until you are at the next corner. When you get to the next corner, make sure you make 6 double crochets slip stitch, 6 double crochet slip stitch, all in the same corner space. So the corner space is always a double. So go around that row working inside the 2 double crochets, the 2 chains. Work around until you are at the end. At this point, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, my love, my darling, my baby, please do. I know you've been watching our videos for some time now and you haven't still subscribed. Just consider subscribing because this is the little you can do to support and encourage us to keep creating. So go around and I'll meet you at the second corner. So when you are working, your work would be turning or it can be going like backwards. Don't worry about it. When you are done with the whole work, you can lay it flat. So don't worry if you see your work is taking a shape or a form that you don't expect. Just chill out. If you are doing the right thing, then you should be very fine. You should be okay. You can always stretch it out when you are done with your work. So I'm at the corner and I want to show you how to make the corners properly in case you didn't see the first one. So this is how the corner always look like. You can decide to put the 6 right after the 2 double crochet, or you can decide to put it in the middle, or you can decide to put it at the last end. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to place the first 6 double crochet right after the 2 double crochets, right? So I'm going to place my first 6 double crochet and a slip stitch inside the same space, and I'll open to the middle quite a tiny space, and I'm going to place my second 6 double crochets. But just figure it out how you want to do it, but make sure you are placing 12 double crochets in the corner space. And you are going to go around until the end of the row, and I'll meet you at the end. So keep placing 6 6 6 6. When you get to the corner, make sure you are placing 12, and I'll meet you at the end of the row. At the end of the row, you are going to slip stitch, and this is what your work should be looking like. And now slip stitch again to the center, and you are going to either chain 2 and drag your yarn forward to the next row, or cut and fasten your yarn and attach it inside the middle of your next row. There you go. And again, you are going to repeat the same exact process. So you are going to chain 3 and go round this row. You are going to chain 3 and place your first cluster, that's 6 double crochets inside the very first corner. You are going to go around, and I'll meet you when you are done with your last row. So if you are making for a size medium, a size large, extra large, consider adding more of the skeleton. So the process is the same for all bra cups. The only difference is you trying to build up more if you are doing for a breast size like large. So just consider adding like more of the skeleton before you work your the main work. So at the end of the row, you are going to slip stitch, and now this brings us to our final row. And our final row, we are going to, after slip stitching, you are going to draw your work to the middle, but this time you would realize that the middle, the last row is full of a single crochet row. This is not a 2 chain row, but rather a single crochet row. So what we are going to do is to drag our yarn, chain 2 and drag our yarn and make a slip stitch in the very first or opposite single crochet, and we are going to slip stitch there, and we are going to chain 3. For this row, because it's a single crochet row, we are only going to be making 5 double crochets in each stitch. So we are going to make 5 double crochets, and we are going to slip stitch in the very next stitch, and we are going to make 5 double crochets in the next. So this is just 5 double crochet, slip stitch, 5 double crochet, slip stitch. So this is what this row is about, and that is our last or final row. So we are going to go 5 double crochet, slip stitch, 5 double crochet, slip stitch all around. So with this one, we are not going to build any cluster in the corner. It's just going to be a 5 double crochet, slip stitch, ordinary row all around until the end of the row. So at the end of the row, so you are going to go around, 5 double crochet, slip stitch, 5 double crochet, slip stitch. So some of the stitches would be very tiny. I don't mind you skipping a stitch, but make sure your work is very beautiful and make sure the arrangement is perfect. At the end of the row, you are going to slip stitch, and you are going to chain 1 or 2, cut and fasten your work. And now this is the end of the row. So I'm going to pull the tail end just where I have cut behind, so that it will go to the wrong side of the work, because I don't need it in the front, so I can sew in properly when I'm done. So this is what your work should be looking like. And the size where we made the half double crochets for the two sides will be the size of our bra, and where we made the two chains and a double crochet would be the under parts, and the top parts would be where we would attach our strand, would be where we always slip stitch. So that is the 3 corners. Now you are going to take whatever that you want to use for your fringes. I measured 7 inches and I went around paper. You can use a cardboard or whatever length you want your fringes to be. That one is only depends on you, and yeah, you just have to do. So what I'm doing is that I'm taking 7 strands and I'm going to be attaching it inside where we made our chain 2 spaces. So when we were making the borders, where we made the chain 2 spaces, so that is where I'm going to be attaching my fringes, and this is how I attach mine. You can feel free to do it as you desire. It totally depends on you, and there's no formula to this. Just make it nice, and yeah. So keep attaching your fringes, and I'm going to do this, and I'll meet you when I'm done attaching mine. So I'm going to attach all, and I'm done attaching my fringes, and this is what the work looks like. This is the back, and I'm going to make sure I cut and fasten all loose ends. But before, let's attach our strand for the top parts of our work. So I'm going to take my yarn, and I'm using 4 strands, and I'm going to make a long chain. So I chained about 70, but you can chain more or less. This is also to your desired length. So I made 70 chains, and at the end of your 70 chains, you are going to cut and fasten your work. Now I'm going to cut and fasten all loose ends, like the tail end we dragged behind. Just make sure you cut and fasten it, and this is how your work would be looking like. We are going to go ahead and make extra one, and we are going to attach both together, and you are done. So when you're done with the first one, you're going to go ahead and make the same exact thing for the second one, and attach all your strands. And after, you're going to make a very long strand and pass it through the borders of the bottom of your bralette, and you are done. Until we meet next week in class, is bye bye. Stay safe. I love you all.